Happy Self Love Sunday. I am Tarnisha Mosash, host of Self Love Sundays with Sass. I am your vision strategist coach where we come every single Sunday so we could talk about all the ways in which we can better our best. And it's almost like the end of March. I can't even believe it. Like my son turned 20 yesterday. He is the baby. He is no longer in his teens and it feels so unreal. And I know some of you like at this point, the goals that you were like hyped about in January, they're probably collecting dust at this point, and you're probably not as on point as you thought you would be this 2025. And before you blame yourself, because that's exactly what we go to, let me stop you right there. You didn't fall off because you were lazy. You didn't fall off because you were undisciplined. You fell off because life got loud. And this is the thing that people forget about the most. You forgot how to listen to you. You fell off because life got loud and you forgot how to listen to you. You weren't unmotivated and you're still not. You were disconnected. And when you're disconnected from yourself, momentum dies. You know, there was a time when like a season when I really couldn't hear myself. It was right before I joined. There was this community called Breathe University, and I would set goals for myself where like I wanted to become an author. I just knew it wasn't that I wanted to become an author. Let me just be honest. It was that I knew God was calling me into writing my story. My very first book was Finding Your Way: 7 Ways to Love and Heal Yourself, and it was a way to usher people through healing, because I had gone through so much. I had gone through burying two sons. My start was a welfare mother. I started off with $322 a month, on welfare. So that was my start. That was my beginning. And I was going through the seasons where I was so busy scrolling on social media, comparing myself to other coaches who were already in the space. And I'm like, man, they've blown up, and they're doing this and they're doing that. And then I got introduced, to other social media platforms. You know what I mean? It was just so much pressure to feel like you had to be on all the time. I talk about me being in corporate America. That's not new. And so I had so many different things in my ear. I was listening to YouTube, and it was just constant comparison and overload. And before I know it, another year had passed and I had not got to the goal that I set for myself. And it was then when I realized that I really couldn't hear me. I was so busy listening to everybody else's voice, I couldn't hear myself. And it wasn't that I didn't have goals, it was that I couldn't hear myself under the noise of what everyone else thought I should be doing as well. Like, what do you mean you want to be an author? You want to write a book? I never forget saying that to my friends. Like, at the time there was a friend group I was a part of, and it was like, "You want to write a book?" And it was like, "Yeah, I want to write a book." It was because I felt the calling to it, but I also felt I didn't have the support in it, and I didn't realize at the time that the support didn't need to come from the friend group. What I had was God saying, move, and I should have just moved, right? So this is why this topic is so near and dear to me, and I want to let people know I understand it's not because of laziness or undiscipline. It was just simply that you go through a season where you can't hear yourself. And so this is not about going back to what you said you were going to do, you would do, either, because I don't want you caught up in that. It's about becoming who you were designed to be next. Right? Spring, because we are in spring season, I want you to know this is not a restart, but a spiritual shift. Right? There's a new season that has been ushered in. Winter is gone. So let's let go of where you thought you should be up until this point, and let's start where we are right now. Forget about bouncing back. You're not a ball, you're a seed. You don't need to go backwards. You grow deeper, and then you can bloom forward. But you have to start sowing into yourself. What does it look like for you in this season? What does spring look like for you? How do you want to feel in this season? How do you want to walk in this season? What do you want to accomplish in this season? We have to let go of what we coulda, woulda, shoulda, and let's get focused on the here and now. And so, um, I don't want to get in this because I know every week I kind of give you like three power moves. Listen, we're not giving three tips. We're giving you realignment of identity. Okay. Let's get into inner spring cleaning. What needs to go and what needs to grow? What needs to go and what needs to grow? Number one, outdated expectation. The pressure that you're under is coming from an old version of you who didn't know better, right? You're allowed to change your mind about what matters. I'm going to say that again. You are allowed to change your mind about what matters. Most often, when we are leveling up, the old version is always in the battle of who we're trying to become. And that old version that have you stuck in the coulda, woulda, shoulda, stuck in I'm not enough, stuck into here I go again, self-sabotaging, right? So the way to move past that, the way to start to glean from it is taking some of that the pressure of expectation. I was talking to someone who I coached many years ago, and it was so amazing to talk to her because when I coached her, she was in a deep depression, and to see her now is just nothing short of amazing to how she has grown into becoming a new version of who she is now. And she was talking about going to business coaching because there are some amazing business coaches out there, and I happen to have one, and she had this expectation because when you get into these areas and arenas, and sure, some of these women are making $1 million literally in one day in a weekend. They're doing it, and it took them some time to get to this point. And so that expectation of I'm going to just start today and make $1 million in a weekend. Anything can happen, sure, but why put that pressure on yourself? Why not just say, I'm going to follow all the steps and the roadmap that was set before me to build this business instead of getting into I got to do this all in one day, because it is that type of pressure and that type of expectation that you put on yourself that when it doesn't happen the way you think it should, you're then ready to quit. And so I want you to ask yourself, what are you chasing that no longer excites you? A lot of times we start something because we think this is the way we're supposed to go. And then when it doesn't look sexy anymore, we stop. So I want to know, what are you chasing that no longer excites you? What are you doing? What do you keep doing just because it's on your vision board? Because sometimes there's things on my vision board that may not be for this particular season. Okay. So I want you to start to get into what is it in your goal, what is one of your goals that really excites you and lights you up? Because again, it's about how you feel. Most people don't believe this, but it's a true feeling. When you're excited about something, you're going to want to get up and do it. I'm excited about coming to you every single week. I'm excited about sharing something new with you. I'm excited about growing my company. I'm excited about growing my community. So every single day, I'm going to do that. Now, does that mean that life is not life for me? No, I just cried yesterday, but I'm still excited about my work, so I still did that. So again, it's about how you want to feel. I feel amazing when I'm pouring into people. So I'm not there's a plenty of things that I looked over because my vision board is over here. There's plenty of things on my vision board. And I also know that in this season, that's not something that there's some things I'm not going to work on, right? So I want you to burn it, bless it, and release it. Okay, burn it, bless it, and release it. Right? You like use a visual of you just like ripping up the paper, close your journal, and let it go. If it's not having you feel empowered, listen, let it go for right now. And again, it's not about letting it go forever. It's just in this season. It's not serving you. It's not helping you grow. It's not moving you closer to where you desire to be. Listen, the second thing, you give yourself permission to pivot. You're not flaky, you're evolving. Now, in evolving, people pivot. Now, here's what I will say, because I have somebody who wants to pivot all the time. If you're pivoting all the time, it's because you don't have any clarity. It's one thing to have a clear vision, right? And then you have clarity of how to get to that vision. But when you don't have clear clarity and you don't have clear strategy and you just have some things written down and you're not following it, you're going to constantly pivot. That's because you don't have clarity. There's two different things. Don't give yourself permission to pivot every single week or every single month if you don't have a clear vision. It's two different things. Okay, I want to be really clear with that in this video, because sometimes we just get and we're constantly pivoting all over the place. No, I don't believe in the strategy that I have set for myself. I don't believe in the vision, and I don't have a clear way of getting there. Two different things. And so then you have to start to ask yourself too, because sometimes people pivot because they're afraid. What would you do if you weren't afraid of disappointing people? What would you do if you weren't afraid of disappointing people? I really want you to write that down and ask yourself that. And who would you listen? This is the biggest thing, especially for those who businesses are on social media. Mine is as well. I get it. Mine is on YouTube. But who would you be if you weren't performing for likes, validation, and old identities? Like, I can't do this for the likes. I would love, listen, I come every week and say, please like, share, subscribe. I would love to have millions of people to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I would love, first of all, let's be really clear. I would love to have $1 million, millions of dollars in the bank because I have served people. I have come and given, I've helped, people solve or be a solution to what people deem or glean as problems in their life. I would love that. However, if I only showed up for the likes and the validation and who I used to be and the subscriptions, I would not show up at all. It's just the truth because it's not there. It's not there. But I understand that you still have to continue to keep going. Look at the strategy. Look at what I did last year. How can I pivot from that? Right? How can I grow on from that? How can I grow my channel? And it has. Last year I had 200 people subscribe. This year I have 400 and I think 10. And so it's just a matter of continuing to keep going and not doing it because somebody is going to like, share, or subscribe, or I'm just happen to be so lucky that somebody is really going to, people are going to take notice, right? So that's just it. You got to ask yourself, would you show up every day if no one ever showed up for you? If no one ever liked it, if no one ever validated it, would you keep going? That's a real question. I had to ask myself that same thing. When originally, I remember our videos that was like one like and none. I had to ask myself, and then I had to keep growing, and then I had to get coaches, right? But this is what I had to do. And you have to stop managing. Listen, you have to stop managing the version of you that people recognize. I have to keep growing. I'm stepping into a faith season. I'm stepping into a season where God is calling me to do fast, and having people do it with me. That is a part of my life that I never show people, not because I'm ashamed of it. It's just the fact that I'm private like that. And now he's calling me to bring that out. And I can't manage to the old version of that people knew about me. Listen, there was a part of me back in the day. Did I gossip? Yup. Was I loud and rude and obnoxious? I'm sure. Did people not like me? Of course. There was parts of me that was ashamed of, and I had to grow out of that. And I can't manage to the people who knew me. I told this before a couple of years ago, and I'll say it to you now. Just imagine that there is 10 levels in life. There are some people who knew me on level 1, there's some people who knew me on level 3, and there's some people who knew me on level 5. I would like to say I'm on level 6 right now. Right? I can't manage to the people who knew me before. I have to manage to where I am and where I'm headed. Real talk. I can't worry about that version. I can't worry about what they think. I can't worry about them seeing these videos and like, oh, who does she think she is now? I can't worry about that. I have to step in and step up to where God is calling me now and where I'm headed. And you have to start to do the same things for you. Start nurturing the version of you that feels like home. That old version don't feel like home to me. It just doesn't. I love who I'm becoming now. I love the way that I share now. I love that I can come and be vulnerable and say, yes, I cried, and sometimes business feels hard, and yet I'm still going to continue to go and grow. I realize that I'm in transition. I'm realizing that the bigness is going to come. I just have to stay diligent. I just have to stay focused, and I just have to stay intentional, and I just have to stay rooted and grounded in God. That's the truth. And so I'm not here to tell you, who your God is or anything like that. I'm just here to tell you that spiritual foundation is the very thing that keeps me going. It also helps me to keep knowing to where to go to next. Okay. And so the last thing, energy leaks. This is huge. Instead of repeating, get rid of negative people, I want you to go deep. Where are you giving your energy that gives you nothing back? Because everybody always thinks about external, right? I want you to start to look about internal. Silent guilt, the emotional debt, fear-based routines, and fake productivity. There are so many people that's busy being busy, not accomplishing anything. Just so busy, and they're so in their own way, and they show up with excuse after excuse. And it's so crazy because I remember I used to be like that, and once I came out of it, I would look at my friends like, why didn't y'all tell me? Like all I'm doing is making crazy excuses. I'm blaming everybody else. But the truth of the matter, it was my shame and guilt that was holding me back. It was me all along, right? But I couldn't see it. And sometimes we have blinders on, and that's why it's good to have coaches. Stop just looking at, oh, I have to get rid of the people. I listen, it is so true that if you have four broke people, and broke, busted, and disgusted, it means broken spirit, broke in the way they talk, broke in the way that they show up, you will definitely be the fifth. You cannot save people who do not want to be saved. That is true. However, let's start with the inside of you first. If we start with the inside of us and then work our way out, wow, how life would be different. Because you wouldn't even want to be around those kinds of people. So again, what are you giving energy to that gives nothing back? What are the things that you silently feel guilty about? What are the emotional upheavals that are happening in your life? What is the grief that it still holds you back? What is the fear-based routines because you won't allow yourself to grow, so you continue to complain and complain, complain and complain and complain, and won't do anything to shift anything in your life? What is that fake busy? What are you so busy being busy and not doing anything really? It's not your goals that are draining you. It's everything you're doing to prove your worth. When you get that, oh, how your life is going to change tremendously, as Coach Deion Sanders would say. It's not your goals that's draining you. It's everything you're doing to prove your worth. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. Just step in and step up into you. Okay. So let's spring forward, right? We talked about, the three things that you really need to cleanse out this spring, okay, to help you shift your perspective. We talked about outdated expectations. It got to go. Giving yourself permission to pivot only if you're not pivoting all over the place because you don't have clarity, okay? This is a point in time where you need to figure out who can help you to get a clear vision based strategy for yourself, whether you're working with a coach or somebody. Every coach needs a coach. Some of the greatest in Kobe, Michael Jordan, if you love sports, Oprah Winfrey, okay? Let's think about people, Tony Robbins. All of those people have coaches, and you don't think you need one? Some of the people that make millions and millions of dollars. Myron Golden, for some of those who are in that. Eric Thomas, E.T. the hip hop preacher. A lot of these people have coaches, and a lot of them also have spiritual foundations. Okay. And then the last thing was energy leaks. And the biggest energy leaks that are within you. Remember, it's not your goals that are draining you, it's everything you're doing to prove your worth. So now it's time to plant. Okay, I'm sticking with my spring thing, not plan, right? Okay, so I know it. I just talked about strategy, but do you really need more strategy? You probably need clarity and conviction. The seed already knows what it's supposed to become. You just have to protect it. You need clarity and conviction. It's so true. When you think about planting a seed, or if for those of you who garden, it already knows what it's supposed to become. You just have to protect it. What is one thing that you're going to release? Because this is how you protect your seed. What is one thing that you're going to release that no longer serves where you're trying to be in this season and where you're headed? I need you to get away from the past. What is one thing you want to release? Okay. How do you plan to water the seed of you this spring? I need you to water. What are some positive things you can water yourself with? Positive. And again, it's not just affirmations. I get that. But how can you sit and meditate and really start to visualize who you desire to be in this season? How can you get around a community of people who are going to help water you? Help speak life into you. As you speak life into yourself, you have to want to do it for yourself. You have to say, I love myself enough to let go of what's not serving me in this season. I love myself enough to stop beating myself up about me not sticking to what I said I was going to do in January, because I make these false things every year thinking I'm going to stick to it, but I keep doing it the same old way, not realizing that old ways will not open new doors. You have to be willing to release a part of you. You have to be willing to die to self. You have to be willing to die to self. What are you willing to release? How are you going to word yourself? What is one word for how you want to feel this spring? Not accomplish, but feel. How do you want to feel? This spring, I desire to feel joy. I desire to feel excitement. How do you want to feel? Because the truth of the matter is, it's the feelings that are driving you to do or not to do. And you have to give yourself direction. You have to give your inner compass direction. You have listen, north, west, south, east, right? What you have to give your inner compass direction. Where are we going? Where are we headed? How do we want to feel? I don't have to sit in depression. I don't have to sit in lack. I don't have to sit in unworthiness. I don't have to do that anymore. I don't care what anyone thinks of me. You know what I care about? I care about how I love me. I care about how I show up. I care about how I'm going to show up for my business. I care about how I'm going to show up in my career. I care about how I'm going to show up as a mother. I care about how I'm going to show up as a sister. I care about how I'm going to show up as a friend. I care about my relationship with my God. I can do all things and I can change all things. I have to want it enough. I have to love myself enough to spring forward. How do I want to feel? How do you want to feel? It's all up to you. I tell you every single week, it all begins and ends with you. How do you want to do this? The choice is yours. So again, what's one thing you want to release? Quarter one, I talk in quarters because there's 4 quarters in a year. So quarter one is January through March. March is getting ready to be over. We're heading into Q2. We're getting ready to head into April. It's coming, right? So April, May, and June is the second quarter. What do you want to do in this second quarter? What do you want to do in the second? First quarter's gone. Nothing we could do about it. And beating yourself up, how has that ever helped anyone? It hasn't. So let's move forward. Let's spring ahead, okay? And then one intention, I want you to set one intention for how you're going to show up this week. I want you to do one thing different this week. Show up differently, whether you show up differently in the way that you communicate, whether you show up differently in the way that you look. It's about to be spring. Do you want to change your hair? Do show up in the way that how do you want to show up in the way that you speak to yourself? Just give me one intention. Okay? So again, 3 things. One thing you're going to release in quarter one. No, actually 4. How are you going to water your seed? How are you going to water you? Are you going to join a new community? If you're looking for one, all you got to do is message me. I have one. If not, there's so many free communities on YouTube. Find a community of like-minded individuals that's looking to go and head where you're going, that can speak life and build with you. Okay? One word for how you want to feel. Again, not what you want to accomplish. How do you want to feel? How do you want to feel? I feel so alive when I come here. And I know that I'm giving something that's going to help shift somebody's life. How do you want to feel? And then one intention for how you're going to show up differently this week. Okay. And so if you are ready to spring forward with me, I hope you do. Can you just comment down below? I'm springing forward. If you're done, listen. Oh, this is not for everybody. You have to be willing and want to leave from that burnout and ready to bloom into the next version of you. You have to be willing to let go of things that no longer serve you. You have to be willing to cleanse the energy drainers, the things that are holding you back and keeping you down, the things that set you in winter blues. It is all up to you. And if you're ready, I want you to comment. I'm springing forward. Again, it's not for everybody, and I pray it's for you. And if this message did anything for you, please like, share, subscribe. Again, I'm trying to grow my channel as I'm looking to grow me. I thank you so much for joining me this Sunday. Please join me every single Sunday. We're going to continue to go deeper. We're going to continue to spring forward and not look forward. Look forward to talking to you next week. Bye now.